'cause I can see the sun light up the sky. So I hit the road in overdrive, baby. Oh, the city's cold and empty, no one around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust. I'm just walking by to let you know I can never say it on the phone. Will never let you go this time. I said, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. Hey! I said, I'm blinded by the light. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. Alrighty, what's up, guys? How's it going? This is exciting. Let me just check. Okay, you can see me. This is exciting. This is my first time breaking down a session live. Thank you all for joining. So I thought it could be cool to show you guys a bit about the session. Let me know if you can hear me all right. So the Weeknd was my artist of the decade, which is crazy. I'm sure Owl City would have been up there with him, but Spotify wasn't really a thing at the beginning of the decade. So I'm sure they're tied. But so the Weeknd just released a new album, and this was one of the singles for it, and I love it. That's why I made a cover. This was very spontaneous. I'd been kind of missing just making random stuff and just uploading it. So the song came out, and I'm like, oh my goodness. It's all of the goodness of all the 80s stuff that I've been into recently, and 80s production, and the Weeknd all in one. So, yeah. I made this in a day. It started out, let me show you. You can see this really long audio file over here. Pretty much this cover started out with, let's see. I just went in my closet. I just found a loop. I don't know if this is the same one, but I just wanted to find a loop. That was kind of like the groove. Definitely not that. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, well, I guess I don't have that installed, but I just got like a random loop that kind of sounded like his beat, and I just went into the closet. I don't have it installed, so it's just a bunch of sine waves. I just went to the closet with a loop and just put it on like infinite, just like looped it forever. And just so you can see with this audio here, I just like screamed the song into the mic. And as like a vocalist, I kind of like to do that before I even get into production. I don't normally do stuff that way, but like I like to be able to sing and have fun before I even have a real beat. So if I can sing the song to like a loop, then like that's cool. And I found the BPM using like protap, I think, .com or one of those services. I just want to pull this up, make sure I can see the comments. Yeah. Can't hear Logic. Let me see.
The city's cold and empty.
Can you hear that? I think it should be working because that's what was playing the intro song. Pretty much I just have to route things to this output when I drag it in. But, oh, if you wanted to hear what that was, though, I guess I can. So the mistake I showed earlier was, so I don't have the sound installed. It just played a bunch of sine waves. Okay, here it is. That's definitely not what I recorded to, and I don't have the sound, but that's pretty funny. So it was just a random Apple loop. And so yeah, I just went into my closet. I like to record in my closet, and I have just a ridiculously long headphone extender cable, a ridiculously long mic cable, and then I put this mic in my closet because my room has some treatment, but it very much sounds like a room. Maybe you can even hear it now. And I really like to have the tight vocal booth sound for my stuff. And so I have some sound blankets in there. Nothing too crazy. But there's an app for Logic called Logic Remote. And actually, let me pull it up now. Hopefully it works. But okay, I can control Pat's Mac right now. That could be kind of funny. It shows his up there. Sometimes I have to restart Logic, but I'm not going to do that. But basically, it gives me like a Logic controller right on my phone, so I can track my vocals. I'll set up the session, like do all my audio tracks beforehand and do that. But for this song, to start out, I just did the lead that way, and then I went into the closet and did all these stacks and everything. But let me see. I think I wanted to start off like breaking down the sounds that I have, or I could go through the vocals, whichever one sounds interesting. Try and control it until you. So, yeah, I guess I'll go through the instruments. My plan of attack here is go through the instruments, tell you about how I did those, and then kind of a little how I mixed it, and go through the vocals. I'm kind of a freak with vocals. I really like working with them. And I like to zoom in a lot. I don't actually record that loud. It just kind of gives me security when I zoom in. I can see everything, like all the edits and stuff. But that's actually the real software instruments are pretty loud. So yeah, this is the drums that I use. This is the drum pattern that I had. I think I have this filtered. There we go. That's my automation for the drums opening up. But in the verse I have it automated so this filter is darker. This is really cool. This is a filter from Arturia that looks like it's emulating a Minimoog, which we'll get to later in this session because, of course, it's an 80s song. Of course, I have a Minimoog in it. But in their original cover, in the original song, it sounds like they're using Simmons drums, but I didn't want to just recreate this the exact same way, especially since the synths and the production and stuff it's all 80s and you can get that sound pretty similar, but I didn't really want to have it perfectly the same. I kind of wanted to do my own thing a little bit. So they're using Simmons drums. I'm using Lynz drum, and this is a great plugin. I think it's like Ali James something. And this is actually, it's not just samples from this Lynz drum. This is like the sound of the 80s, pretty much. You'd probably recognize it. Let me move it over to where it's not filtered. Kind of like Phil Collins kind of thing. And so this is a really cool plugin because it's not just samples of it, of a Lynz drum. Someone recreated all of the programming and put it into this UI. So it's kind of crazy to wrap your head around, but like it's running all that fake circuitry behind it, and it's pretty cool. Something I didn't do in this cover is it's really fun to layer. It's really fun to layer the Lynz drum with acoustic drum sounds. That's what John Mayer showed in his new light breakdown. I didn't do that in this, but that's a cool thing. I really like how thick the kick is. I don't even think there's any like velocity on this drum patch either. I think probably it's how the original was. Your sessions are so neat. Mine are like a creative idea being hit by a tornado. So I did clean this up a bit before. Just color coding. But I do like to hide things and turn them off and bounce stuff to audio because the session just like runs so much better just running audio. But yeah, so I have this automated with the cutoff, and it's using basically a Moog synth filter on the drums. I thought that's pretty cool. So you can, let's see how it like opens up. So yeah, it's pretty 80s. And it looks like I might have a separate hi-hat going on here. Let's see what this is. Pretty impressive. Same thing. It's just from the same Lynz drum. I just have it on a new track to keep it cleaner for mixing. Joseph said it's literal copies of the ROM chips. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So even if I'm not trying to get that 80s sound, I still kind of like to use that kick in productions just because it's like slaps so well. Yes, so the bass. Well, let me just play a little bit of the hook so give you some context where we are.
And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your...
So this bass. That's pretty yummy. This is a Mini Moog plugin. Joseph actually has a Mini Moog downstairs, but I just like made this so fast that I'm like, oh my god. So this is Reactor's Mini Moog. There's also one by Arturia that I have. I just really like the way this one responds to the filter. And Joseph has the real Mini Moog, and he himself says that it sounds pretty much like the same. So that's really cool. And even between Mini Moogs, all Mini Moogs sound different from themselves. Just like it's all hardware. So however they did this, it sounds super thick and bouncy. Not sure what kind of bass. Actually, Joseph keeps saying that they're using a Polyvox bass in the Weeknd's new stuff. I just like to use the thick Mini Moog all the time because why not? So looks like I'm doing some filter automation on it. It like opens up there. Oof. That is thick with 7 C's. Okay. Not too much else going on there. The patch is, I think it's just the 2 oscillators. Honestly, I don't even tweak this because I just open it up and it sounds good, honestly. Just the filter. Yeah. And then this is the meat of our cover here is these chords. So I was preparing to tell you that it was a Prophet plugin, but it's not. It looks like it is the Jupiter, and I can hear all of my friends being like, "Oh my God, the Jupiter," aka Pat. I thought this was, I thought it was a Prophet, but it looks like I did it on this synth. So this synth is super cool, and I think a real one in real life is like $14,000 or something. It's got a really fun rainbow arrangement, and we actually got to play with one. There's this museum. It's really this guy has rented out this building in the Bay Area in San Francisco, Berkeley area, Oakland, and it's this guy who has this crazy big synth collection, and he turned it into a business, charging people to come and play with the synths, and it's called the Vintage Synth Museum, and it is really cool, and you can go in there and track. You can go in there and like use his Ableton setup and like record and everything, and we got to play one of these. I also got to play an 808, which was really cool. I thought that was my cat. And yeah, I remember I was joking with Joseph and I were joking with Pat, and he was like, "Oh man, should I go to college or like buy a Jupiter?" So. I mean, yeah, like, that just sounded really cool. So that's what I'm doing there. It's got some more automation going on. Just brought everything down in the verses. Cuts out there. And it opens up. Josh said that's a very detailed plugin. Yeah, it is. And honestly, I'm looking at this and I'm like, I'm live. I don't even know how to break this down right now. But what's cool, basically the context is this company called Arturia has went and modeled all of these historically famous analog synthesizers from the 80s and recreated them, kind of similar to the Lynz drum plugin in software. So it's not just samples, but they've literally like recreated the internal software paths and literally give you a million different sounds. And honestly, like, you kind of don't even need to know what's going on. You can honestly just use your ears and pick a patch. And it's, for me, honestly, it's kind of easy to, like, judge a patch by the name. But it's literally so silly that, honestly, sometimes I wish I could just turn off my screen and listen to presets. So I'm not, like, trying to imagine what it sounds like just by looking at the name and judging it prematurely. So there's nothing wrong with presets. I thought this was a preset that I made on a different synth, but I guess I didn't. But looks like I used the Jupiter for also this lead sound. Looks like I have Sound Toys Pan Man on air. This is, of everything I've showed you so far, aside from a compressor, this is like the only plugin that I've had on anything I've shown you so far, which is pretty crazy. I just kind of have this panning from right to left. And this stream should be in stereo, so you should be able to hear it. It's pretty cool. Just have it opening up. Some delay on there, which is also another Sound Toys plugin. This is cool because they've emulated, just kind of like the Arturia stuff, they've emulated a lot of vintage gear, and I'm personally in the camp that I don't think the stuff that comes in Logic is inferior or anything, and a lot of what Logic has is actually emulating the stuff anyways. They just can't use the names of things, but basically in this delay you have all of these different names, and memory is emulating a Memory Man style delay, which was just like probably another 80s thing they had. So the reason people kind of like this stuff is like they're emulating it because it doesn't sound perfect. Like if you just listen to this delay, it's not a perfect copy. It has some it sounds darker and warbly, and just listen. It's kind of quiet, huh? So that's why people like it. It's just because it had some, I guess color is a good word. Like in the digital world, everything is perfect, and that's amazing. I'm sure people wanted perfection then, but now it's like we have these tools that people are taking from the analog days and adding that color back in. But you also don't need to buy the physical gear. So it's the best of both worlds. So that's that sound. And I think I have a similar patch just doing this opened up sound. Same patch opens up. And looks like I just have a riser. Like this cover, I literally did it in a day, like very fast. J white noise, automate low pass filter. So Joseph probably made this patch a long time ago, and I just saved it. I just have the king of all reverbs right on it. Oops, it's right on the track. Okay, I don't know why Melodyne is on there, but I just have, like I was saying before, Logic's compressor. Like this Platinum digital compressor is like a non-colored, basically, compressor. But they have all these different styles, and these are emulating those like 80s analog gear. They just can't say what they are, but they look a lot like them, and they just respond differently. And it's not something you really need to care about if you're just getting started, but I'm maybe 6 years into producing, and now I'm just starting to care about these, so like it doesn't really matter, but it's just cool to know you have those different colors. Okay, here's my favorite thing, vocals. So I am not gonna play that original track, or maybe I don't know. I don't know what I was doing. I just sang the whole song through maybe a few times with that loop. But what the vocals ended up being was this.
Oh, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night.
So I didn't even use the mic that I normally use now. I used my Audio-Technica AT2020, and it sounds great. People are asking me like, oh, can it sound professional? I'm like, yeah. Honestly, I think the room and the space you're in matters more than the gear. Just saying. Like, I can record that in this room, but it's just going to have a lot of room reverb that I can't take out later. So that's why I do like to record in the closet. Just add some blankets, or even just like some clothes. Anything will take down those reflections, and that you'll be surprised, especially once you start stacking tracks here. Just having that dry sound makes a big difference. So how I process these, I actually just made a video on my new other channel called Simple Mixing, going into like how I do more production stuff, if you guys are interested in that. But I went through how I... Ooh, there's my big plug-in chain. So let's see.
I feel your touch. I said, ooh.
So basically how I like to start out is I don't do any pitch editing at all until you see, man, that always happens. Melodyne is really aggressive with trying to get you to update. But basically, I don't do any pitch correction in terms of changing or fixing the notes that I did until I made sure that I have edited everything. Also, maybe it's freezing right now. Hope not. Oh no! Okay, here we go. There's a lot going on in this this chain here, so so yeah, when I start out with vocals, I go through and I like the comping in Logic. Comping is where you record multiple times and then it lets you choose the best takes and it does the fades for you. Of course, I'm in there, you know, that's why I like to zoom in kind of crazy, like a freak, just so I can see, I can do my fades, I can do all that stuff. And I'll do that editing first because once you, basically with Melodyne, you have to record it in to the plugin. But actually, well, I guess I did this cover so fast that I used Melodyne ARA, which is something they're beta testing now, where you just open up the plugin and it'll detect everything for you. But why it's important to edit your vocals first with, you know, the right takes you want, obviously, and your fades and cutting out all the noise and stuff is because once you open Melodyne, it's going to copy all that in, and if you didn't edit it already, that is kind of just a mess. So, so yeah, I don't know how many of you guys are using Melodyne already, but I can just give a little overview. Basically, I kind of go through and look to see for anything that's, it detects all these blobs, these are all the notes, and I take this tool here and just like cut anything that doesn't look right. It looks like they missed. And it's the computer, obviously we have to use our ears and go through and listen to this. And then once I do that, I select everything, and then you can drag everything to the pitch center. And you can right click over here and choose which scale you're in. Sometimes it identifies it for you, but it's not right. So once again, you have to like use your ear, figure out whatever note you're hitting on the keyboard kind of fits anywhere in the song. And yeah, and then just like going through, listening. I like to sing along while I'm editing, make sure that it all sounds right. Joseph said, what kind of blanket? I think I probably used the sound blanket. I don't know what brand it is. But recently I've just been throwing like any old blanket behind the door of my closet. And actually my closet's very interesting. There's not enough space for me to put a full mic stand in there. But it has a shelf in it already. So I can use this desk kind of stand and put the mic in there. And then where I'm supposed to hang clothes, I just hang a blanket over there. So I have a blanket in the front of the mic, like behind me, over the door, and then behind the mic too. And then I try to put whatever I can on the sides. But yeah, and I like to record in there because it's dark if I want it to, and I just feel kind of more in it, I guess, versus like, oh, I'm gonna go track in like fluorescent lighting or something. You know, you can create your own mood, whatever feels best. I think recording vocals is a lot of a mental game. So, yeah, so Melodyne is like our surgical editor, and this is where we just control all of our individual notes, and just like listen through and see if
Maybe I'm going through withdrawals.
So it's like, oh, if this was up here for some reason, let's go to 97.
Ooh, I'm drowning in.
Like you can just move the notes around, and that's super cool. And so I put that on first. But what I use in conjunction with that is I do use the Antares Auto-Tune plugin, but I don't use it very aggressively. Obviously, everyone recognizes the sound if I do this.
Drowning in the night.
That's not what I'm going for, but you can do that if you want. What I like this for is without it.
Ooh, I'm drowning in the night.
Like, I didn't even try to make these vocals perfect. Like, I was just so into the feeling of the song because I found it maybe that day or the day before. I just kept singing it, and I just literally just was singing it and just went into my closet and just like shouted it into the mic at the right BPM with that weird loop. But so this was an instance where it was just like I just care about capturing the feeling, and I can go through and go crazy on Melodyne and everything, but what's great about using the Auto-Tune plugin in conjunction with Melodyne is that this plugin is doing all of the heavy lifting for us, while in Melodyne we can do the surgical precision stuff. So this is just snapping everything to the key, and it just gives us the sound that everyone is kind of used to hearing, but also it's a sound that I enjoy a lot. I don't think, oh, you can just slap auto-tune on anyone's voice and it sounds great. Like, you have to know quite a bit about singing, more than that, to do that, but I don't know, everyone uses it in their own way. Personally, I just like the way that this glues my vocals together. I think my voice works really well with this. So that's why I like to use it. Before, even if I went crazy, before I got auto-tune, even if I went crazy editing in Melodyne, you can get all the pitches right, but like, Melodyne will get your overall pitch right, but this just like snaps it in perfectly. I just don't know how to explain it other than that. It's just really nice to work with it at the same time. So that's why I like it. So I'll just play all these vocals together. Hide everything I'm not using. And I love to record stacks, but let me just play this.
And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust.
So that just sounds huge. And personally, I got into recording and stuff, not so much to like make beats and everything. Now I'm like trying to learn, I'm more comfortable with that. But when I first started, I was like, I just want to record my voice and my guitar. And I want it to sound good. And I recorded, and it did not sound good. So I kind of went down this rabbit hole of like learning audio engineering and everything. And I guess I was producing my Dusk at Dawn album, like I did produce it. And Joseph helped me with like mixed feedback and stuff and some tracks, but for some reason I couldn't see myself as a producer. I was like, I'm just recording my songs, like I'm not a producer, but it's all, so much about it, art is just in your head, so whatever. I was producing, but I didn't realize it. But what I wanted to do was just get good vocal recordings. And so so many bad recordings later and over-processing things, it all comes down to just having a good take, having a good recording environment. I won't even say the gear, because like I recorded on really cheap gear and I still don't have really expensive stuff. I don't think it really matters. I think the recording environment matters the most, and the takes and stuff. So I think what really fills out vocals though is using auto-tune glues them all together just in a way that like you want. Unless you really don't want that, then that's cool. Like, the Killers don't use any kind of vocal processing, and I don't think Maggie Rogers does, or Billie Eilish actually doesn't, which is like super cool. I'd love to get to that point, but I like how this sounds, and I'm not ashamed of it. So I love stacking. My premise for stacking vocals is I'll have the lead, and then for the hooks and stuff, looks like I kind of did stacks into the pre and everything. And what stacks are is just like, you have your lead take, and you basically, instead of just like dragging this down and duplicating it, that won't work because you need slight variations when you pan it right and left. This is what it sounds like.
Oh, the city's cold and empty. No one around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night.
So I love doing those stacks because without it,
I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh.
like, it's cool, but I just love the way that this all sounds kind of like one vocal, essentially. There's a story that Freddie Mercury from Queen was so good at stacking with his leads that he would actually phase with himself. So basically say if this track was a stack of his and we played them together, it would cancel it out. That's what phasing is. That's how good he was. We don't need to do that, and we kind of don't want that anyways. The reason we're not just making a perfect copy of this is because we want that slight variation, because that's how you can hear it on the right and left. It's the same thing I do for guitar. If you just want that wide sound, record a stack or two. I do generally just do 2 stacks. I don't go crazy even more than that, because if you have too many stacks, you're kind of doing the same thing, canceling it out. So I really like to do stacks, and I don't even really melodyne the stacks. I don't really do any intense pitch editing. It's kind of crazy, like, you kind of start out in your journey trying to overdo everything, and then you kind of get better with it, and you realize, like, I don't need to do too much, you know? So I'll just kind of just use the auto-tune plugin on there. And the point of the stacks is that it's not perfect. Like, perfect, yeah, but it depends on what you're going for. This was just a fun cover, so whatever, I didn't. But, yeah. And then I'm going to go through mixing stuff after I get through these. If you guys are still with me, if you're having fun. Kind of want to see what's going on here. Ooh, we have some people on Next Music watching too. Cool. And then just some other background vocals, I think. Yeah, just some energy. Nothing too crazy. I don't normally put reverbs and stuff on the track just to save CPU. I just normally send it to, you know, its own thing, but gotta know the rules to break the rules. And then, ooh, this is very cool. Let me see. So in his original song, he has these very cool background vocals during the pre-chorus. And I actually changed the lyrics a little bit just because of how much I liked that from his changes. Let's hear it.
Oh, the city's cold and empty. No one around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh.
So that's probably my favorite part of the song, honestly. Just what these are doing.
Oh. Go on.
And you can even hear the auto-tune. Like, I just didn't even care. Like, I can be such a perfectionist. And so I just really love when I can do spontaneous stuff. And on my Spotify, like, let me see. I don't know what, I don't want to get into any legalities with opening that on here, but like, basically none of my songs have really broke 1,000 streams, or one has on my old page. Probably need to migrate that into my new one, but my song Paper Skies did just break 1,000, which is, like, really cool for an original song. But I wasn't gonna upload this cover on Spotify. Like, I just made it for fun. I was just gonna put it on SoundCloud, and then I had a friend. They're like, you must upload this. And I'm like, what? And they're like a marketing genius. So I'm like, okay, I'll just do it. And normally on Spotify, I've made like $1 a month for the past, since 2015, with my streams and stuff, which is kind of funny. And then with this cover, it's like, obviously I didn't write it, so I'm not getting 100%, but I still just like even made $20 in January from it. Like, it's got like over 8,000 streams now, which is crazy. And it says a lot for something that, I didn't overthink. I just did it in a day and threw it up there. So I think that's why people might be connecting with it. Yeah, another tangent. And this is pretty awesome.
Oh, the city's cold and empty. No one around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh.
You might be like, what the heck is that? Well, this is vocal synth. This thing is awesome. I don't know how Zed does his vocoders, but if it's not this, then I don't know what it is. This is a really cool plugin from Isotope. And my patch is called Amazing Vocoder because this is pretty overwhelming looking. And it's basically a bunch of like synth effects inside of this. And there's also Morphoder, which is by Waves, which is another like kind of vocoder sound, but like this is just kind of more intuitive to me. Ableton has some really cool things where you can do vocoders and use anything as the source, basically. But this is what I used for this one.
Time.
Ooh, lie.
Time. Cause I can see the sun light up the sky. So I hit the road in overdrive, baby.
Like, that's so awesome. It's called Amazing Vocoder because I was kind of overwhelmed, and there's like all these patches and stuff, presets, but like I still didn't really get what I wanted. And there's this video of this producer working with vocal synth, and he just like shows his patch, and I'm like, yo, okay, I'll use that. So I just kind of copied the settings and saved that. I'm like, okay, awesome. It's got some crazy effects in here.
Cause I can see the sun light up the sky. So I hit the road in overdrive, baby. Oh, the city's cold and empty. No one around to judge me.
You kind of have these modules themselves, and you just kind of layer them, and you have all these effects down here, which I don't even dig into. I kind of just like to add my effects in Logic after, but there's no reason you can't do it there for creativity. So yeah, this is pretty crazy. It's like you have the vocoder, which is like, that Daft Punk sound.
Time. Cause I can see the sun light up the sky. So I hit the road in overdrive, baby. Oh, the city's cold and empty.
But then you can just like layer it with all this stuff. So that's pretty crazy. Yeah, so that's pretty much all of the production elements in this. It's pretty simple. Make sure you're still good. Cool, it's like 40 minutes. So kind of just wanted to go into mixing stuff. Let me take a look at my notes. If anyone has any questions about producing in general or this cover, feel free to hit me up. So I just want to go over some how I mix this, because I do enjoy mixing, and let's see. It's pretty straightforward. For these drums, I literally just took out some of that low-end mud and used our bass from Waves to just add some low end. That's about it. Pretty dry. I don't even know if I did anything to the hi-hat. Nope. For the bass, I used this, which is the same. It's an emulation of the. I was using a Logic compressor just like this earlier, and it's the LA2A. It's very stupid simple to use. There's just two knobs. Okay, I really doubt that I compressed it that much, but pretty much that's just how much it's being compressed, and then we can turn it back up with the gain here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I like that plugin a lot. That's kind of the only compressor that I use on my vocals, just because, you know, you can compress like crazy, but you don't really hear it, you know? You don't hear the compression. You don't hear like something squashed, and I really like that for vocals. So I'll get to that later. The chords. Looks like I used the same thing. Same thing on the chord, and then I just took out some low end. And so like once you do that, you know, you're making space for the bass. Like if you don't have it. And then with it, it's very subtle and your ear gets used to it over time, but you can hear how the bass just kind of opens up because it's not being covered up from the synth. It's a pretty easy like mixing hack. It's just take out bass from everything that doesn't need it. Here it looks like I EQ'd it. I have the bass removed, and then I think this filter opens up. But without it, pretty simple. And then I just have this tremolo, and then the delay. There's not a whole lot going on here, which I think is very cool. We can so easily overcomplicate our own productions, and then you listen to the pros and you're like, wow, they kept it really simple. I don't even know if I showed you that sound yet. This is also the Jupiter. And looks like I just have Logic's compressor on here. Same synth. This compressor's super easy too, 3 knobs. Can't get any better than that. It's like even I know what compression does. Why make it complicated when it doesn't have to be? So that sound is pretty easy, just have some delay on it too. And then for mixing vocals, like I was kind of saying before, I kind of had this whole lot going on here. I'm actually surprised that I have that much going on. But I showed you Melodite and Auto-Tune. I don't even know if I ended up using that really. But like I was saying, I do like to use the LA2A. This is from UAD, Universal Audio. They're the ones that made a lot of these hardware, all this hardware gear back in the day. So now it's very cool that they're emulating it in software because they built it. And I like this because this plugin is not being ran off my internal CPU, it's being ran off my interface, the Apollo. And so that makes it easier on my session, and I just like the way this compresses. So Let me take a listen.
I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night.
Okay, so I actually used 2 of these. It's kind of nice to use 2 compressors because then you're it's called like stepping compression. So one compressor's not overworking and doing a lot of the work. Because then you're more likely to hear it too. But it also kind of looks like I am using a bit of compression on this first one too. And to show you the similar one in Logic, just go to the regular compressor and then Vintage Opto. Check that out. They have some more knobs here, but for compression on vocals, I'm not smashing it by bringing down the attack. I think what this is more like is probably a slower attack, and then I like a quicker release. That's how you could probably emulate this. And yeah, you don't even have a ratio on here. It's just whatever is built into the wiring. But that's a cool way you can get a similar effect in Logic. So yeah, that's a very simple.
Go and I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights.
And without any compression, it sounds like this.
Go and I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No.
Let me mute that. So like without any compression, you'll kind of hear how the vocal just like falls away. It's not the lead in the mix anymore.
Go and I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh.
So you can see how it just kind of disappears, and then you can hear when I get really loud.
And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep.
No, ah! You know, so that's what compression is doing. It's taming that. And then with both of them,
Go and I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch.
now that's a lot of compression, but it like still sounds good. I mean, once again, I did this so spontaneously that I'm like, whatever sounds good, it's gonna go. And it's kind of hard to make it sound bad with this style of compressor, so the ratio on it might not even be that high, so that's why you can do stuff like that potentially. Then for EQ, very simple. I don't go too crazy.
And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No.
You can kind of hear around here how it's a little like hooty, I guess. And I just had to take that out, but I'm not really for trying to fix a bad recording with EQ. Like, I can't remove your room sound with the EQ. Fan noise, like, that's just stuff you have to make sure you're doing when you're tracking, like preventing that stuff. But a little bit of like build up and taking out the low end of the vocal, pretty much it. And also, you can see I'm not really boosting stuff on my EQ. That's just personal preference. And also, if I want this to sound brighter, all I have to do is do the inverse. So if I want it to sound brighter, I can just remove some bass. So that's a pretty cool technique. And also, you can cut as much as you want throughout your whole mix. But if you're boosting everything on every track, it's going to sound really brittle, bright, kind of out of control. But you can easily kind of shape and sculpt your mix by just removing stuff. And then the de-esser. You also have a Logic de-esser too. This is from Waves. They have a power pack with some of these plugins in it that it was like $30 when I got it. Got a lot of stuff. So this is the mic I was using. If it's like kind of like a cheaper condenser, which is ironic that I didn't use the mic that I'm talking into right now. This is actually the mic that the Weeknd records on and recorded on. It's the mic that Michael Jackson used all the time. And like we got it used for like $250. It's indestructible. It's, you know, those stage mics everyone sings with, the Shure 58. This is the SM57, and it was like they went to the Shure team and they're like, hey, make that mic, but if space wasn't a problem. And those stage mics obviously have to be durable because everyone's dropping them all the time and whatever, so they did that here. And it's a great radio broadcasting mic. You probably see it all the time. I love it for the studio because it's not picking up a whole lot of the room. But I actually didn't end up using this. I don't know why. I just had whatever was in my closet. I'm like, I'm just going to wing it and sing. But for condenser mics, especially maybe, I don't know, maybe cheaper ones, they might have a lot of high-end buildup, and that's fine. That doesn't make it inferior, but you just have to know, especially if you're recording a female. The females are kind of more sibilant anyways, like DS. Got a lot of S's going on there. So this is exactly that, DS-er.
Ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel it. Ooh,
Without it.
I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch.
So you can, ooh, got that cool delay. You can see how that's super bright, especially in the S's, and then you can just go here and choose, you know, kind of monitor where that is. This is kind of funny. So you can just go find where that S is. It's probably 5,000 and up, anywhere in there. It's not really a perfect science to it. And probably similar processing on the stacks. Yeah, it looks like I'm using this.
I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until.
What this plugin is, it's just compression and EQ in one. It's actually an emulation of what you'd see on a big console board. And people have just like, be like, hey, I missed that. Let's go bring it back to the digital world.
I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh.
And all I think I'm doing with this is just using it as a noise gate, you can see. I didn't even go crazy editing this, so I'm like, I'm just going to use a noise gate.
Ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No.
So you can just see, like, when I'm not singing, I've set it to where it'll detect under a certain threshold, just like clamp down and mute it. I don't normally do that as just like my final editing, but you can if you want. I think there's maybe a Harry Styles song, or one of the guys from One Direction had a single, and it sounds very roomy, and it's all like on purpose, and they just had a noise gate going crazy on the vocal just for an effect. That's not really what I was going for here, but you can use it. Why not? Same thing. Normally, my chains aren't even that crazy, so looks like I DS'd this twice just because that mic was just pretty bright. That's about it. And then, oh, I also had the delay. Oh, it looks like I am using this SSL on my lead.
No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch.
Same reason, actually. I did edit it, but I still use it anyway for some reason. But you just have the EQ here.
Ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't.
It kind of looks intimidating, but it's really not, because then you just have, you can remove your low end here, remove top end there. Here's your like high end, the middle of your frequency spectrum.
Ooh, I'm blinded by.
You can just like control what frequency you want, and then how wide or thin of kind of like a band you want it to be swooping in.
Ooh, I'm blinded by the light.
And yeah, the method would be kind of just like finding a frequency that kind of hurts, boosting it up, and then cutting it.
Ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch.
But I didn't even go that crazy on this song with that, but it's just so you know how to use that. And yeah, it's got a compressor right in here, but I obviously kind of compressed a lot already, so yeah. And then I have Melodyne in here again because I didn't sing it perfectly, so I just wanted to edit it again probably. And then actually I'm not even using Valhalla. This is Logic's version of Valhalla. You can kind of tell. It's pretty colorful.
No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. No, I can't.
Oh, wait. Can you hear that? There might be some stuff that you're missing from this not going out to the output. Huh.
No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh.
I think so, maybe. But yeah, nothing too crazy, just a regular reverb. What's going on here? Touch. Okay. That is my delay. Yeah, so those delays that you hear, I'm just automating it on that word. Looks like I even put autotune on there, which is pretty funny. I haven't really went deep into the session before this, so this is kind of like a live, totally live thing. And then also looks like I compressed the effect. Let's hear it.
Your touch. I said, ooh.
Just because I really wanted that to stand out in the song. But as you can see here, I scooped out a lot of the low end of this.
I feel your touch. I said, ooh.
And you can kind of see with the reverb too. I'm EQing the reverb. I didn't really used to do that, but you don't want a lot of that low end swirling around your head, you just kind of want upwards in your mix where it's wider to swirl around. So I'm doing that with the delay too. And yeah. So the haze. It looks like I put sausage fattener on that. That's pretty funny. This plugin is it's kind of like a funny overdrive plugin. I love it for drums or anything that kind of wants to be a little crunchy. This graphical user interface is pretty great. Look at that guy. I never really use color. Just makes it brighter, I think. And just simple Logic compressor. Yeah. And mixing these. Just a reverb, honestly. Pretty simple. Vocoder. I also took out some low end. And also around 200 to 500 can get kind of muddy, and I guess something I would do for stacks, and if I didn't do it in here, I normally do it. Oh, there's the stacks. You can see in my EQ is I kind of like to take a lot of that out too, because I want the stacks to be thinner than the lead. I don't want all, like I said before, all of that low end kind of in your face, especially on the sides of your mix. So I like to thin those out more than the lead vocal. And yeah, I mean, that's essentially it. I'll play it through here in Logic, and you can see. If you guys have any questions or want to ask me anything, feel free to comment in the stream, and yeah.
I've been trying to call, 'cause I've been on my own for long. even have to do too much. You can turn it on with just a touch, baby. I look around, I like the city's cold and empty. No one's around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust. I'm running out of time, 'cause I can see the sun light up the sky. So I hit the road in overdrive, baby. Oh, the city's cold and empty. No one around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust. I'm just walking by to let you know I can never say it on the phone. Will never let you go this time. I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the light. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch.
Super cool. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up. There's just a few more things that I've noticed, and I can go over here. Let me make sure. Okay, my mic is good. So in the bridge here, I have this vocal that I just panned right and left.
By to let you know, say it on the phone this time.
That sounds wicked overcompressed. Oh well. Something I wanted to mention for when I was mixing this. Of course, checking and mixing the car is my favorite thing ever. But also my new, can I have two favorite things ever? I have the stereo that my mom brought down that I had in Buffalo. And playing a song on there just tells me, like, a lot of times you have to get out of your regular headphones, get out of your monitoring system. Like, only one of my monitors is working right now anyways. And listen on your phone, listen on your laptop, listen on, like, a stereo. And mixing on the stereo was perfect. It's kind of where I got the levels right. A lot of times I'll go and check a mix and, like, the vocals are just way too loud. I didn't even notice, but you hear it in a different system and you're like, oh, I hear it. And then also, like, simple stuff like mapping out your arrangement. Just little things that you don't think are that important really help you out. Just navigating your song. Color coding, I just like to have all my drums red. I just follow the rainbow. All my bass is orange. I like synths and strings to be yellow. Guitars are green, but I don't even have any in this. And then blue for vocals is nice because all audio tracks in Logic are blue by default anyway, so I don't have to keep going there. And then for mastering this, I have everything running to Soundflower right now, just so you guys can hear it properly. But I used Ozone to master it. It's a pretty hefty plugin, so I didn't have it on when we were doing this, just because I don't want my computer to overload. But Logic's adaptive limiter compressor, or adaptive limiter for mastering, is pretty sweet by me. I don't have any problems with it. I'm hoping they update it so you can kind of tell what's going on easier. But this is Ozone's mastering plugin, and I love it because it'll literally use AI to bring the level up to the commercial level, which mastering is. And you can put in like a reference track, so it looks like I put in a sample of the original song to kind of compare the frequencies, and it'll literally like analyze it for you. So it looks like it might have just erased what I had. Let's see. Yep, I think it did. I like to keep the peak at around -0.3 because that's just like the ceiling of where it'll go when you're bringing up the levels. And I don't keep it at 0 because nothing's perfect. Maybe your mix will go over that, and you don't want it clipping, especially digital clipping. Analog clipping with like hardware gear, yeah, that's cool. It has a cool sound. But digital clipping, it's just like the ones and zeros are like, where do I go? And it just makes an awful sound. So, and it looks like this was just an EQ, boosted the high end a little bit. But I don't really think there's anything else going on for mastering. So, yeah. Davis says, go, Lynz, come to Bristol. Davis, I don't think anyone's going anywhere right now, so, yeah. So, I'll just play this through again. If anyone has any questions, just type them in the comments. If not, then I'm going to sign off and enjoy the quarantine.
I've been on my own for long enough. Maybe you can show me how to love. Maybe I'm going through withdrawals. You don't even have to do too much. You could turn it on with just a touch, baby. I look around, I love the city's cold and empty. No one's around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the night. Oh, when I'm like this, you're the one I trust. I'm running out of time, 'cause I can see the sun light up the sky. So I hit the road in overdrive, baby. Oh, the city's cold and empty. No one around to judge me. I can't see clearly when you're gone. And I said, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said, ooh, I'm drowning in the
Well, thank you guys for coming. This was really cool. And if you want to see more stuff like this, definitely let me know. I'm also thinking about making things live, which would be pretty cool. And hope you guys are doing okay. If no one has any more questions, then have a good night. Peace.